Bonjour, bienvenue, and welcome to the channel. In my last video, I gave you guys the top 5 reasons I think you should solo travel. In this video, I'm going to give you my advice for planning your first solo trip and taking those initial steps to become a solo adventurer. Let's get into it. So when you're planning your first solo trip, my first tip for you guys is to know thyself. Are you an introvert or are you an extrovert? And by that I mean, do you recharge by being around people or by being by yourself? Think about it. When you need to relax, what do? Do you call your friends on the phone? Do you go out and meet them for a drink? Or do you stay at home, read a book, watch TV? That's going to inform the type of adventure you have, as is where you want to go. Do you want to go to the mountains? Picture this, you standing out looking by yourself at a breathtaking vista with mountains all over the place as you stand at the top looking down at all the peaks and valleys. Is that vision have your friends in it, or is it just you? That helps you. Or if the mountains aren't your thing, maybe the beach. Do you see yourself playing a game of volleyball on the beach with your friends, or do you see yourself relaxing by yourself and sleeping the day away? That will tell you what you should plan. But my top tip at first is just know thyself and plan your adventure accordingly and set yourself up for success. So it breaks down into a couple categories. Number 1, what do you want to do, right? Number 2, what is your personality? So tip number 2 is to plan by your personality more than any other characteristic. I love beaches, I love mountains, I love cities, I love all of it. If I had to pick one, I don't know if I could, but I'd probably pick beach. But more importantly is what my personality is, right? I am introverted. Everybody thinks I'm an extrovert because I talk to everybody, but I'm actually not. I'm very introverted and I need a lot of time by myself. So for me, a busy resort with a bunch of families and kids running around is probably not going to be my thing. I'm going to pick an out-of-the-way place with a fewer number of people where maybe I can engage in some conversation, but it's going to be more limited and it's going to be more depth, more deep, and more thoughtful. So plan your trip more around your personality than by any other characteristic, and that will set you up for success. Whether you're at a beach or a mountain or a hot springs or a spa, you will be set up for success if you take that as your key metrics. Next, tip number 3, start small. And by that I mean, don't plan a trip that is 2 weeks long, thousands and thousands of miles away, on a radically different time zone than your base of support, right? All of that is going to lead you to potentially feeling lonely, potentially regretting the trip, being scared, all of those emotions, right? Rather, stay close to home. And by stay close to home, within a reasonable flight, easy for you to get back. And plan it for a few days, right? Plan maybe 3 days, 4 days, maybe even 5 days. But don't plan a multi-week trip. I'll tell you guys a story. My first solo trip was in 2017. And I took it after a hard breakup. And I was really lonely the first time I got there. I went to the south of France. I went to Monaco, and I was hanging out by the pools and beaches, and all these people with their families and with their wives and girlfriends, and I was super lonely. And I had no plans. I had nobody to call. The time difference was astronomical, right? Because of the 8 hours plus to my base of support. And so I had a miserable time. And in retrospect, had I built up to that trip, I think it would have been a radically different story. So start small. Don't make a big deal of it, and you'll likely enjoy it more. And on that note, tip number 4 is have a plan to deal with your loneliness, right? That plan can be a couple-fold. One, it could be having a close friend that you reach out to or that reaches out to you. Maybe your close friend knows you're doing this for the first time and they'll check on you a couple times over text. Or family members to talk to, sister, brother, parents. all of those things. Or, I mean, it could be as simple as I'm going to go to the nearest bar and find the drunkest person and make that person talk to me, because drunk people love to talk. As long as you're willing to listen, they're willing to talk usually. And I jest, okay, but it really is true. Sometimes when I get lonely, I go to a bar or restaurant and try and find people to talk to. Right now, I am on a long trip, and one of my best friends and I, she and I exchange WhatsApp texts every day, voice texts. And sometimes our voice texts can be 15, 20 minutes each. I tell her all about my day, she tells me all about her day, right? It's great, but it's my plan for dealing with my loneliness, and that way we're also not in the same time zone. We don't have to be, because we exchange voice texts, and she gets mine when she wakes up, and I get hers when I wake up. And my fifth tip is, and it sounds funny, but carry something to read. I personally carry my iPad with me almost everywhere I go, in a backpack, whatever. And the reason I do that is that by carrying the iPad with me, it's almost like having an emotional support object, right? My ex once called her water bottle her emotional support water bottle. And I laughed because she took it everywhere, but it really was true for her, right? My iPad serves the same function for me. It gives me that feeling of, if I get like the feeling that people are looking at me or staring at me, which is all in my own mind. It all begins and ends in your own mind. I have an object to divert that, and within a minute or two of starting to read a book on my iPad, I feel fine. And if I do get bored, if I do get lonely, I can flip up my book, read a couple chapters, and by that time I've forgotten about it and that sensation's passed. So those are my tips for planning your adventure. Where are you going to go? Is it going to be the top of a mountain? Is it going to be a beautiful beach? When you close your eyes right now, what do you see in your mind? And who are you? And are you with a lot of people? Are there a lot of people around? Or are you by yourself? That's the adventure I want you to plan. Please tell me about it in the comments. Please tell me what you're thinking. If you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons to stay on my content. Reach out, join the conversation. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.